Well, having got familiar with the background of Mary Wollstonecraft's book, The Vindication of Rights of Women, which was published in the year 1792. Now we shall go ahead with chapter 2 from the book, because this is the chapter which is prescribed in the syllabus. So the title of the chapter is the prevailing opinions of a sexual character discussed. So she's discussing the prevailing means the contemporary of that period, which existed during that period. So she's talking about the opinions related to sexual character. Sexual means related to gender, we can say here. Firstly, she talks about women education of her period. What kind of education system was there during her period? So she begins vindication by saying that she has been feeling depressed lately. She starts like this. She has been feeling depressed, means sad. She's not happy lately, these days. Now, why does she feel sad? Why is she so unhappy? She said that after looking at the history of humanity, she has decided that men and women are either very different, or history has been extremely unfair to women. So she has got two things in her mind. One, either men and women are very different biologically. I, I rather appeal you people to think over this point. Or another issue, another aspect that she thinks over, she contemplates over, is that history has been extremely unfair to women. These are the two possibilities. When she studies history of humanity, the historical development of humanity, either men and women were, according to her, very different, or history has been discriminatory. See, history has been extremely unfair to women. And in the end, she decides that the lack of good education for women is the biggest cause of misery in the world. So, though some of you may think over this particular opinion of Mary Wollstonecraft, rather in India, the scenario was not different, but even some of the men were not allowed to get education during the ancient times. You might be knowing that. And Mahatma Phule, who was the advocate of women education in India, he advocated women education in India, was of the opinion that education is the pillar of any nation. So education can be can be helpful in bringing any kind of change in society. So that's what he thought. And here, Mary Wollstonecraft thought that the lack of education for women is the biggest cause of misery in the world. And that is true. Not only of women, whoever it is. Mati vina gati geli, gati vina niti geli, eka vidyane eka. That is, you might be knowing that for Mahatma Phule's statement. So he gave importance to education, utmost importance to education. And here you see that Mary Wollstonecraft holds the opinion that every evil in this world, every root cause of the problem in this world is lack of education. And especially women are sufferers because of lack of good education. Education was available, but they were not given good education. Only recently, no, in India as well, girls were sent to what you call sent for fragile kind of education only. Girls were not allowed to go for mechanical engineering and other side, civil engineering, etc. So you might be knowing that. So they were just made to go for traditional education. And in many traditional families as well, you might be knowing that uh, they girls are not sent for education technical fields. They are made to go for traditional kind of education. So she think that this is the root cause for women, the misery of the world in this world. For the most part, in this particular chapter, Wollstonecraft believed that women's poor education teaches them to be superficial and ignorant. Okay, this education is of not good quality. The education that women get is not of good quality, and that education makes them superficial. Superficial means what? Superficial means no, not in depth, of surface only. वर करणी म्हणतो आपण त्याला, उथळपणा, and ignorant as well. So despite being educated, they become superficial and ignorant. They don't think on deeper level. And that kind of half education, no, half knowledge is dangerous. So Wollstonecraft thinks that such kind of education, poor education, makes their life more miserable for their future husbands and even children as well. So look, they are neither good for husband, or neither good for themselves as well, nor for their husband and children. See things. It was Wollstonecraft's thinking. He thought that good education is something that will help her become capable and more rational, we can say. Otherwise, they may become superficial and ignorant. They will be of no use to anyone at all. So that is what she thinks. Then she goes on talking about physical strength of men and women. So Wollstonecraft admits that it looks as though men are physically stronger than women in terms of physical strength. But she insists that in a modern civilization, physical strength should not count for much. So in today's world, physical strength is not that much important. Okay, otherwise, you might be knowing that all wrestlers, all strong people would have been ruling over the world. Brain matters a lot. So, although there is a physical difference in the physical strength of men and women, in a modern civilization where we are living a civilized life, cultured life, physical strength has nothing to do. It has no value. So women should therefore be treated just as well as men, because they have just as much intelligence as men have. So intelligence matters, not physical strength. That's what she thinks. Wollstonecraft she thinks that men will criticize her argument. Wollstonecraft thinks that men will criticize this argument by saying that giving women the same education as men will make them too manly. Now, whatever thinking is there in traditional society, it was there in British society as well. Today, we think that British society is very modern society. Western society is very modern society. But before 200 years, the scenario was not so different as we have today here. Of course, we often, we think that a Western society is ahead to us by 200 years, and that has to be accepted, because even today, in many societies, women cannot express these views, and the men may criticize women for being manly. If you have studied a poem by Kamala Das, Introduction, might be knowing that she is forced to wear particular kind of dress. She is forced to behave in a particular manner. A woman is reminded that she is a woman all the time. Since her childhood, a girl is made to believe that she is a girl because of the fear that she may become manly, and such kind of manly girls are not accepted by society. So this was the problem. Now she talks about reason means rationality and logic. So Wollstonecraft, she firstly talks about education and then physical strength. Now she talks about rationality, logical thinking, reasoning ability. Wollstonecraft argues that reason and logic don't favor one gender over the other. Means no rational thinker, even just like Apraben, says that the man of rational, anyone who has got that rational sense, they may not defend such kind of criticism on women. So similarly, Wollstonecraft argued that reason and logic do not support any kind of gender discrimination, gender bias, or gender inequality in terms of gender, we can say. You might be knowing the Apra Ben was, not accepted because of her gender. She was of that opinion. So rational thinkers may not discriminate between men and women because of their gender. So Wollstonecraft wants her female readers, those who are reading this book, female readers, that she is going to speak to them directly and rationally. And this direct speaking and rationality might offend some women, not only men, even women. Which kind of women? The women who are used to being addressed with all kinds of silly politeness, meherba and all this kind of politeness. Such kind of women belonging to high class society, may not like this kind of thinking because they are revered because of their gender, your highness and all. Okay, so they are accustomed to such kind of praises, such kind of silly politeness, and such kind of women may not like Wollstonecraft's rationality, because rationality is something which make you think very openly and very liberally. So Wollstonecraft admits that, accept the fact that women's education has become a more widely discussed topic in a time. But what is her disappointment? She's sad, she's disappointed that this education always focuses on making women as pleasing as possible. So this is the problem with the education of our time. Means the education made women as pleasing as possible to men instead of developing their own rational mind. They are taught how to keep men happy. Okay, they are not taught how to be rational in their approach. So this is what she thinks about the education of her time. I'll talk about this and then we shall stop. She talks about the social hurdles. So from the discussion, it is clear to Wollstonecraft that women have been unnaturally stunted in their development. Means obstacles are created in their development by a society. This society tries to keep them as weak and ignorant as possible. Society, the society around us, tries to create obstacle in their development, and the society tries to keep women as ignorant and as weak possible by making them think that they are women, they should behave like a woman, they should not do this, they should not do that. So all kind of bombarding, and through education as well. Now if you compare the scenario with today's TV serials, movies, you'll realize it that in all kind of movies, all kind of serials, women are judged in terms of their behavior. If they take care of the family, if they take care of everything, if they follow tradition, then only they are considered good. Now this is again a matter of controversy. But Mary Wollstonecraft thinks that it is a kind of activity or process which makes them weak and ignorant. Because pleasing men is the only thing that they learn through their education, making their husbands happy. So that as if that is the only duty of women. So they are made to think like that. So in the end, she is confident that rational argument will prove that it is in everyone's interest of women to receive better education. Education which will make them more liberal, more intelligent, education which will make them more rational. So such kind of education is required for the betterment of women. So there are many men who have argued over the ages that women don't have enough mental strength to become morally good on their own. They need the guidance of men. Now, what do you think of it? Think over this particular statement. Traditionally, men are of the opinion that women do not have mental strength; they're weak mentally, and they need guidance of men. I stop at this point, and I want you people to think over this particular opinion, traditional opinion.